I don't say this to be funny, but the real definition in real life turns out to be if you got a little bit more problems than I do, then you're mentally ill. But my problems are just my problems. They're problems in life. Your personality disorder is my personality. And everybody's got troubles. But if you think about it, what leads to these tragedies is people who are in horrible despair. That's our enemy, is despair, not mental illness as it's traditionally defined. It sells. It's really sounds right. Like when someone kills 8 people that they don't know for no apparent reason, it's really easy to sell the idea that they must have been crazy. And that pejorative word couples everything. It's self-explanatory. People look at you funny when you suggest otherwise, and then you got people who are racing to get on television, who are happy to tell you what mental illness a person had that they never met and know nothing about. And looking through the retrospective lens of the thing they just did, it's really easy to say, well, they must have been mentally ill. But in fact, relatively few of the perpetrators of mass homicide are mentally ill, using the term properly defined as serious mental illness. What they have in common is they were all in horrible emotional crisis. But the notion that emotional crises only happen to people with serious mental illness is horribly misguided. And it's prevented us from responding in a competent and timely way to these emotional crises that can happen to anybody. People who feel insignificant and enraged are looking for somebody to blame it on. So they, if you look overseas right now, you see some of this horrible violence in the name of a religion. And mostly it's people just using that excuse as a way to express either rage or greed or revenge or fear, which are the emotional motivators for violence. Probably doesn't have that much to do with the actual religion they claim to be espousing. So it's the same thing with, you blame mental illness because it's convenient, and it takes it away from the more vexing questions of how do we live safely with all these guns. And it's a much harder discussion. It's much easier to have a very simple answer to a complicated question.